Welcome to WTF is Web3, where we untangle the uncertainties of Web3 technologies. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information, giveaways, and ways to stay in touch. You're also going to want to make sure that you're subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and our private group so you don't miss out on exclusive content, freebies, and much more. If this episode seems like it was stripped out of a longer conversation, that's because it was. This is what we call a shallow dip, because it's basically the opposite of a deep dive, where we're going to give you a brief explanation of a concept, a term, or a topic that we just felt you would dig without having to listen to an entire episode. However, if you do want to listen to the entire episode, I invite you to check out the show notes, because that will get you to that longer episode and you can hear everything in context of the original conversation. Now that we've got that explanation out of the way, let's jump into the episode.
The Metaverse. Facebook has rebranded to Meta, and I mentioned we'll dive into that a little bit, but we don't have to get into the specifics of the company just yet. But Facebook is Meta. Mm-hmm. Is that the Metaverse? How does this work as far as the Metaverse? Is there a Metaverse, or are there multiple Metaverse? Is this sort of like a VHS Betamax situation? Where are we going from here?
Yeah, it is. There are right now, for the foreseeable future, there will be multiple Metaverse projects. I wouldn't want to make it. I wouldn't want to make a comparison to websites, but because there's not going to be that many, at least not initially. But there are dozens, probably, of Metaverse projects that are in the works and also already live. There's some that you can already go on. There's some that I'm already participating in and I've played around on, and they're a lot of fun. They're at different stages. Are they all going to be overtaken by one in the future? I don't think so, because there's multiple different social media nobody has a monopoly on really anything that I can think of. So it's very similar to competitive companies, and they're going to be trying to innovate and differentiate and bring, some other reason to attract an audience. But yeah, to answer your question, there are multiple. And as far as I can see, without some event or reason that I can't fathom right now, there's probably going to be multiple for the foreseeable future.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And you brought up a good point there of these different social networks, right? This is not that dissimilar, where you have a network, sort of the value of this universe relies on other people being in it so you can interact with them. Mm-hmm. And as people coagulate towards one.
Cut that.
As people.
No, keep it.
As people sort of come together towards one of these platforms, that they're just going to spend more time there by default.
Yeah.
You can't really jump around all these. You're going to invest a lot of time in it, invest a lot of resources. Like you said, there's these different tasks you do in them, and you can't really replicate that. Or maybe you can, I don't know. We'll find out. But it makes sense that you're going to have a lot of discovery early on, a lot of early adopters, a lot of, the early incumbents in these places, and it'll sort of shake out from there. So I guess that makes sense. So there's not one is really the big takeaway. So there's a bunch of these different companies sort of forming these. You mentioned.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for this shallow dip. But if you want more information and more conversation, I invite you to check out the episode notes and our channel, because not only can you listen to the entire conversation from which this clip was stripped, but there's also going to be more episodes that do a deeper dive on this specific topic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to make sure you don't forget to check out the information and the links in the show notes. Some of that stuff is going to get you into freebies and raffles and contests and all sorts of other promotions. But also, we've got a private group dedicated to our listeners and our followers. We would love to see you there, love to see you collaborate, join, and get exclusive content that we are only distributing through these other means. Speaking of distributing through other means, I want to make sure that you're also subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and again, join that private group so you know everything that we know as soon as we know it.